Hey guys, welcome to the inaugural video for Tech Scrapping. This is a new channel I wanted to start as I'm a bit of a hobby scrapper. I like to micro scrap, nothing to waste. And today I'm gonna do a bit of a scrap down of a bunch of stuff that came out of an e-waste bin that I have. Free drop off, whole bunch of randomness. Let's see what we get into. The first cool thing I found was a Nintendo Entertainment System. Still got to test it, clean it, make sure it works. Great little score though. That's not scrap. But I got a lot of other stuff here that needs to be torn apart, broken down, a lot of peripherals that aren't worth scrapping. But that's okay, depending on your scrapyard and where you are. Maybe they'll pay you for your computer peripherals like my e-waste yard does. So things like printers and mice, keyboards, things that really aren't worth the time to break down, they go into a peripheral bin, get scrapped later. But there's a whole bunch of other stuff here that I'd like to tear apart, see what we get into. Gonna start with a old telephone, some cords, power supplies. Found a pair of Motorola mics, walkie-talkies. Just charging them up to see if they take juice. Looks like the batteries still hold power. We'll see later if those work. Cordless phones. I stockpile those for later. I'll take the batteries off, make sure they get recycled properly. My scrapyard will pay me for household batteries, so worth checking out. Gonna start with the first thing I found here, which is a birthday card that makes noise. What a waste to the environment for this stuff to just go in the garbage. Not much to this other than a little tiny circuit board with a couple of coin cell batteries on it. I stockpile the coin cell batteries for later silver recovery. That's a way down the road though. Beyond that, I don't think there's much to salvage out of that. A couple of pieces of metal to go into shred. Little speaker, really nothing worth saving. Got some phone cords. Now, I save all the RG11 and RG45 ends for future gold recovery. All the pins do have gold on them. Not sure how I'm going to reclaim that yet. Might use Gold-X or something of the like to strip it down. Cut all the cords off the power supplies. Now, I don't do scrapping for profit. I'd like to make a few dollars at it, but it's not my bread and butter. It's not my day job. It's very much a hobby. Now, unlike a lot of other scrappers, I have a cool inroads into some pretty cool technology. What I do for a living is technology deployments and installations, primarily digital signage, retail, direct view LED. And I started getting into scrapping due to the amount of waste that I was seeing from my installations. We do get paid quite well to deinstall technology, a lot of replacements, old products. So as this channel continues on, hopefully I can show you guys some cool stuff you've never seen on YouTube. Now my scrapyard will pay me for all my wire, but I need to take the ends off. No screws on this one. Well, this is screwed in, or glued in. Let's see if I can pop this out. Usually I break apart the headsets just to get the speaker out to throw into shred metal. But depends how much work it is to get at. That will go in my shred bin anyway. See if there might be a bit of gold on the contactors here. I've been stockpiling gold pins for a while. Probably not much on there, but when I go to process it one day, hopefully there will be something worthwhile. Ugh, that was a little gross. I like using these DeWalt 12-volt screwdrivers. They're nice and light. They don't fatigue you over the day. Oh, nice little piece of metal in there. Just a couple small pieces of wire. Speaker, really nothing worth salvaging in there, but into shred metal. Now, you guys will see me put a lot of stuff in the garbage bag. Doesn't just go to the dump. I have a waste recycling center that's drivable to me that sorts through everything. So any of the stuff that I don't find worth salvaging that I throw into the garbage, I know it's going to be further processed and not hit the landfill. This has some better gold prongs on it. Save all that gold. And I don't find that these phones have very much worth salvaging. Same with a lot of the smaller electronic waste. So phone brings me back to my childhood. Same phone I used to have growing up. I'm going to throw this little screen into my peripheral bin. If you can get paid for it, you might as well recycle it. Little circuit board. Put my C-chips on it. Some MLCCs. So I take a clamp here on my wood bench and just hold down the circuit board, chip off everything that's worth salvaging. Old Nortel phone made in Canada. Too bad we don't see much of that anymore. Look for my little jewelry pliers. Find these really handy for the micro scrapping. A few decent sized MLCCs. Not much though. That's about all it's worth me touching on that board. Those circuit boards will get their own bin. At least then when they go to the recycler, someone else will take the time to get everything else that I missed. Make sure I got a set of pliers with good, clean ends on them. Makes it easier to pull out the wires. I do like these little flush cutters, they're great. You can pick them up on Amazon for dirt cheap, and they do a pretty good job. Use them a lot when we're using zip ties on installations, because there's nothing worse than digging in a rack and cutting up your arms with sharp zip tie cutoffs. Now, I don't find that there's usually much in these charging bases. Maybe a couple pieces of wire. And a little phone base. Not much on this little circuit board worth salvaging, but we'll take a look in a moment. Use a bad pair for prying up these wires. I'm still learning what's worth scrapping, what's not worth scrapping, the different components that have future recycle capabilities. Some really fantastic resources out there. E-Waste Ben is amazing. A lot to learn from that guy. You know, you got Scrap It All. And then for the precious metals recoveries, guys like Sri Tips, gotta call him out. He does a fantastic job of explaining things. Those aren't really worth anything. All right. What we got here? Not a whole lot on this board. Nothing else there really worth it. All right. Some other stuff I found in this pickup, a brand new vacuum gauge. Gonna leave that. This was in a wet box, but a really nice Cobra CB, looks basically new, still in box. So we'll see if we can find someone to buy that. Some alarm clocks and lots of alarm clocks. Also got an outdoor light, still brand new, so probably put that up outside at some point. All right. A couple of cable box receivers. Do those after these alarm clocks. And a couple of bungee cords that someone threw in the e-waste bin. I'm not going to complain about those. They'll have a use. It's absolutely incredible what people throw away. In the last week, we've gotten a working Xbox Series 1. Still can't understand why someone threw that out. Now, haven't done a whole lot of alarm clocks yet, so I don't know if these will have any worthwhile components in them, or maybe in the future I just decide to send them in with peripherals. Take these down, beat them on the floor. Alright, 2032 battery. And there ain't a whole lot on these. A little bit of wire. Little transformer. Not much on this one. Some switches. I generally save these. I hear there's some silver in them. Not sure how I'll process them. Get there one day. A little tiny piece of copper in here. See if I can get it out. I got a little bin here. Speaker, good for shred. Not much on there. Small switches or buttons. And they don't want to come off very nice. Yeah, truthfully, I don't know if I would bother scrapping any more alarm clocks. I think I'll put them into my peripherals. Once I get something really cool that I want to see what's inside of it. Our transformer. No battery. It's good.
Another transformer.
Alright, that was some alarm clocks. As I said, I don't think I'll be doing any more of them. Were not worth my time. Alright. Let's break into these cable boxes. Cisco uses security bits. Gold corner BGA, a couple other chips, MLCCs. A little bit worth salvaging off there. Start by getting off some of my MLCCs. That's about all that's worth it on there for me. Throw that into my shred bin. A little bit of aluminum, a couple of chips, nothing super crazy. Pull out the metal. Yeah, not much worth it there. Starting to get a few of these circuit boards. I may start another bin just for them. I bet you I know why this one made it to the e-waste bin. A Hytron modem. Do not place objects on top. Remove plastic film from unit before use. Wonder how long it took to cook with no ventilation. These copper, they kind of have that look. I'll get one out and do a magnet test. Yeah, I think so. Alright, little power board. I don't process power boards right away. I put them in a bin. On a future video, I'll show you guys how I break them down. A little bit of gold recovery off the antenna cables. A little bit of gold finger. Rest of that I'm going to go right into shred with. Usually grab these antenna mounts for gold recovery. A bit of aluminum. Nope, none of those are coming off very easy. A little bit more for gold. I'm not going to waste much more on that. scrapyard shouldn't have much of a problem with it. Alright, what else we got here? This big heat sink. Try and keep my aluminum as clean as I can. That's 2 nice pieces of cast aluminum. Maybe a couple MLCCs, but they're just little tiny ones. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on it. Alright, that'll go with the rest of the boards. Now, what do we got here? I'm seeing a bit of gold pins for sure. Some bigger MLCCs too. It's good for that, I think. Sorry guys, had a battery die on me there. Let's carry on with this board. These connectors appear to have a fair bit of gold on them. Have a little bin over there of gold-plated connectors for later processing. Let's get off the RJ45 connectors. Those are some nice gold pins. Oh, I forgot to cut the gold fingers off this one. Alright, got a couple of power bars here too. Might as well get them dealt with. Neither of them have screws. Start by getting the plug ends off. Some nice yellow brass. The brass rails. So I don't generally spend a whole lot of time stripping these flat power cables, but the other power cable will go into a bin of wire I have for future stripping. Because at the end of the day, stockpile your copper. All right, a couple of power supplies to process. Oh, a little connector here with some gold pins too. All right, so for power supplies, I usually just break off the brass plug ends. And a couple of plug ends. The trick I find for these, I take my channel locks, just twist them off. I know guys will do the bath method. Find it's a lot of work. Process them as you go, way quicker. Some yellow brass. Now the power supplies. I have a bin of them for later processing. Usually just give the copper a little twist. Now, I always like to come over with my magnet, make sure that none of these plug ends are actually steel. It's very rare, but I have seen it. Do a little bit of a cleanup of the workspace. Alright, got some yellow brass. I always salvage as many washers as I can. Trimmed gold fingers. And connectors for later. And a little RJ45 connector that I'll process later. So, got a bucket for cut gold fingers. I have a lot of RAM and finger cards that I have not processed yet, so this bucket will fill up pretty quick when I get there. Brass plug ends. Not worth much, but It all adds up at the end of the day. I do not return brass or clean copper. I stockpile it for future. Just keep a bin of yellow brass. Have a little bucket over here for random copper bits. And then my chips. And coin cell batteries. And I have one more piece of tech I think I'll break down during this session. Just do a little sort and organize here. Makes things easier. Some aluminum. And yes, I have random aluminum in my aluminum bin. I will sort it later to maximize profits. So the last piece of tech I want to process is this Mitsubishi projector. It's got some decent weight to it. I have not done a Mitsubishi yet, so curious. Well, it's already coming apart pretty easy. Not a big fan of projectors, to be honest with you. With the digital signage that I install, never seen a projector last long enough to justify its cost and maintenance. And with products like DirectView LED, I think the projector business is on its way out. Even for high-end home theater. Now, bang for your buck. Yes, you can get a projector cheap enough to have a nice little movie room in your basement. More shred. Power board for future processing. It's got a really nice copper coil on it there. A couple pieces of aluminum, little transformer. Sweet. More shred metal. Fan. Got a bin of fans for later processing as well. Another fan. There's gonna be lots of fans and a projector. Oh, that's a pain. I'll deal with the rest of that later. Another power board. Nice bit of clean copper there. If you guys see me doing anything wrong, please let me know in the comments. I'm still learning. Bulb, which was probably the death of this projector. Not a laser projector. Another power board. And this is another problem with projectors. They need to be maintained well, or they don't last. And I bet you this filter was never cleaned. Alright, got some brass in here. I will save this off to the side and bring it over to the vise later and punch out all of those brass pieces.
Alright, and to the projector. The lens itself.
Little motor, have a bin of those as well.
Some very small precision screws holding in these two.
Oh, plastic housing, some glass, not worth much for that. Throw this into aluminum. All right, that doesn't want to slide out nicely. Any ribbon cables with these gold fingers I save as well.
Those are a little small for, yeah. Not much to that.
Nothing really fancy there at all. I don't think I'm gonna bother with that. That'll just go into my shred. And probably not much in there either, and some glass. Yeah, not much worth salvaging there.
Mess with that.
Well, that wasn't that interesting. I have some other projectors, that I will do in another video that are really good for recovery. This was not one of them, but this is much more consumer rather than commercial application. The only thing I haven't really looked at is the main board. Oh, it's a little bit of aluminum. It does have some metal inserts. I'll put that over to the side and take it to the vise and just punch them off. All right, a couple of gold corner BGAs, some MLCCs, other random chips. Not a bad looking board. My other ribbon connector. But I'm going to save this for later and process it off camera. I think this will conclude this scrapping session. I hope everyone's enjoyed, and we'll catch you on the next one.